Holy the last thing I ever expected was you.
The latest promo for Katie's season of The Bachelorette was so wild, some fans think it literally spoiled the season. Hey guys, welcome back to another Shared News from Home. We have got to talk about this absolutely insane mid-season promo, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Gianna Gravalisi. Gianna, Katie's season is starting to get serious. At this point, she has multiple really solid connections starting to form. I mean, would you say it's going to be tough from here on out?
I mean, definitely. How can this even be easy for anybody, especially Katie, who we know, she said time and time again, all she wants is to find love. She wants us to end in an engagement. So I think this is going to be really tough, especially in regards to the latest promo. I mean, this was the most stressful one for me to watch. There was a lot going on. We're about to break it all down. Lots and lots of tears from Katie, which makes me so sad. I don't want to see her cry ever, but I think it just goes to show how hard it's going to be from here on out. I mean, like you said, Fiona, she has a lot of great guys, so many great connections. I mean, I have multiple favorites at this point, not just one. So I think it's going to be tough on not only Katie, but all of us watching here.
Yes. Oh my God. No, I couldn't have said it better. I mean, this promo is seriously a roller coaster, you guys. Her journey seems like it's going to have a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Let's just start unpacking these clips because there really is so much going on. Starting with this first one, honestly, it looks like frontrunners might be getting second one-on-ones based on this footage. We've got to check this out.
Petal by petal, layer by layer, this rose is blossoming. Something special is in the air. Where there is she.
So, okay, first of all, the audio we're hearing there sounds like Andrew S. potentially reading a poem. Then we see, of course, Katie and Greg on a bike ride. We get some footage of Blake and Andrew. They look like dates to me, Gianna. They look like one-on-ones, and we all know that there's really not time for that. So what do you make of this?
I mean, I think that this is kind of crazy that they're even showing this because those are definitely one-on-ones. I mean, I don't think that they were on a group date or something, and then Blake and Katie ended up taking a stroll to this burning thing in the middle of the desert. You know what I mean? That's a date. And she's on the bike with Greg, and then she's with Andrew again. And then we get this voiceover of Andrew. Clearly, he took the time to read her something that he wrote probably specifically for a date. So these are definitely all dates. And it's, I mean, right from the bat, I had a really good feeling about these three in particular. You know, we just saw her date with Blake. We just saw her moment with Andrew, and obviously Greg, we've all loved from their first one-on-one date right off the bat. So this isn't really a surprise to me. Maybe that's why they weren't hesitant to kind of show what's about to go down, because I think that these three in particular were front runners right off the bat, but these are all looking like second dates to me, which I'm like, wow, just wow off the bat.
Yeah, it is truly wild. This next clip, we're going to hear Katie say her first I love you. So pretty wild there as well. Let's watch this one.
So is he. I love you. They made sure to capture the special moments they shared.
When I'm with you, everything else fades.
Oh, all right, so there's a lot going on in this small clip, Gianna. First of all, we of course hear her say, I love you. And when we hear it, she is with Mike, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? Because there's a lot of creative editing going on. Let's start with that. Obviously, her and Mike are going to get more serious. What are your thoughts on the I love you? Are they leading us to believe it's with Mike? Do you think it could be with somebody else?
Well, first off, this looks like their first one-on-one date. I don't think that she'd be saying I love you right off the bat. So I definitely think that I love you was meant for somebody else, and she's saying it in a whisper. So it's like, was she saying it in front of other people to just one guy? Was she saying it in, as we see right now on the screen, this kind of intimate moment? Is this fantasy suites? Like, who is that? From judging just based on a silhouette. So we're working with a silhouette here, you guys. So this is just rolling the dice. This does look like Blake. And we'll see in another clip later on, he's kind of wearing that same exact hoodie in another clip. So we can kind of assume that it is Blake right off the bat. But Fiona, there is really so much going on in this clip. So what else are we going to see here?
Yeah, I mean, there really is so much. Of course, you touched on the hoodie that we spotted. We definitely are going to be seeing more from Mike. I agree. That totally looks like a one-on-one. And here, I mean, it was very, very brief, but this looks like Justin is going to be getting a one-on-one of his own. I mean, it feels like they might develop a connection that we haven't really seen from them yet. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for Justin to kind of have his moment. I just appreciate his facial expressions all throughout the season, and I've kind of been waiting for him to shine. So this does look like a one-on-one. This is clearly in New Mexico, as you could see the background. I'm loving the kind of sleigh ride Christmas theme going on in the middle of the desert, and I'm excited to kind of see how this does play out as we continue to move forward throughout the season. But there's so many dates, Fiona. I feel like we're kind of running out of time. And right now we've already seen 4 or 5 one-on-one dates. Like, what is happening here? It's kind of crazy.
I know. And this next clip is definitely sort of hyping up and teasing something big. And at the end, there's a brief moment that looks like it could be some sort of arrival or maybe a shot from the final rose ceremony. So let's keep going with this next clip too.
I'm so lucky to have you.
You make me happy every day.
Katie is the one, and nothing's gonna come between us.
So, all right, again, Gianna, we got a lot going on. So, of course, right off the bat, we see more of Katie and Justin sort of taking things to the next level, which is very exciting. I cannot wait to see where that goes. But let's look at that shot of Blake and Katie where he's in the hoodie, because it looks like that could be, the outfit leading into that moment where we were a little confused. Is it fantasy suites? Is it not fantasy suites? And then, we hear Blake saying nothing is going to get in the way of him and Katie, yet we then cut to this shot of a mysterious vehicle, right, Gianna? And I feel like, whenever they show a car, that means one of two things. It means someone's arriving. Could, I guess, be a final rose moment? I mean, what are your thoughts here?
Oh, so much to unpack. So first off, this clip of Blake and Katie kissing, yes, we do see him in that hoodie that we also saw in the silhouette, but they're in casual clothes. So this couldn't have been a group date. It couldn't have been a cocktail party. It couldn't have been before or after rose ceremony. So clearly this was a moment in which they were kind of off doing their own thing and nothing was really planned. That's also a testament to there is a big possibility that it's true that that was them in that dark silhouette kissing in the bedroom. And the fact that he said nothing's going to come between him and Katie, maybe, we've seen contestants do this in the past. They go out of their way to kind of go to the lead's room after hours type of thing and have a conversation or try to just get some more time that isn't really planned. So I think that we're definitely going to see a big moment between Blake and Katie there. And then the car, I don't think we're going to have anyone else coming unless it's for just a visit. So I don't think it's going to be a new contender necessarily. Maybe it's a special guest we have coming. Because I think if someone was leaving, we'd see that, notorious door slam, like Katie slamming the door, like someone getting into the car, but we don't see their face if that was someone leaving. So I think this shot in particular is telling us that someone is coming. Definitely not a contestant, but somebody that is from the franchise that we've seen before, for sure.
So it's interesting you say that, because this next clip actually has a lot of people buzzing that we could be seeing some sort of cameo from Matt James. So truly that would be a bit of a shock, I think, to us all. I mean, but I think people might be right. Let's watch this next clip.
The last thing I ever expected was.
So definitely interesting there. So let's start really fast with that door knock and just clear this up, because obviously that isn't Matt. And the guy we see standing in the door frame just a moment later is wearing a sweater. So they're doing some creative editing here. But I want to note this outfit because this looks like it's going to actually end up being Michael based on some later clips. So that's something we want to keep an eye out for. But going back to that guy in the door frame wearing the sweater and Katie's reaction, feels like it could be Matt James. Obviously, he's very tall. Obviously, he would be the last person she's expecting to see. What are your thoughts on this, Gianna?
I'm just kind of chuckling because we really are detectives here on Shared News. Like, this has to be Matt James, and you all heard it here first. It's just ironic to me, though, if it actually ends up being him, because as we know, he was done with the franchise. He made that very clear. You know, he did the Instagram revitalization. He cleared out everything after that whole scandal with Rachel. So it would be a complete, utter shock for him to come back. But I think in a sense, it's actually a good thing. Obviously, he's going to give Katie one of those pep talks. You know, I just went through this, obviously. You were there, and I want to give you some word of advice. I think he's actually the perfect person to give her some words of wisdom, you know, especially after his kind of like crazy season that he had himself and everything he dealt with after. So this has to be him. This guy is way too tall to be anybody else. And, you know, he looks pretty buff as well. And we all know Matt James has a really nice body. So this has to be him. If it's not, then sue me, but it's totally him.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I'm with you because Matt did make it so clear that he would never return. So, of course, it's not outside of the realm of possibilities that this could be somebody else. But it feels like if it is somebody else, it's someone from Katie's past, you know, that's not a member of Bachelor Nation that none of us know, right? Because looking at the guys on her season, it doesn't feel like this super tall physique could be any of them, right? I don't think any of them are quite as tall as Matt. So this person, whoever it is certainly going to be a surprise. You can see how shocked she truly looks here. So this is a moment. It was a little brief clip in this trailer, but I have to say I'm really excited to see where this moment takes us because she actually looks really excited. And as we're going to see in some of these other clips, not every surprise is going to take this reaction. There's a lot of sad moments that we're going to see in these clips. This next one shows a lot of the guys bummed, and the tone sort of seems like maybe somebody is leaving early. Let's watch this next clip.
It suddenly just feels so much realer and scarier.
Oh, gosh.
What are you actually doing here?
You want to feel like you're the only one, but you're not. This whole thing.
So, Gianna, let's start off with this first moment here with the guys hugging. Now, it looks like multiple men in this moment are hugging Connor. And I also want to pay attention to what Connor is wearing because we're going to see him wearing this later on in a difficult moment with Katie. I mean, I hadn't pegged Connor as a potential flight risk, as someone there may be drama with, but I don't know. Why else would all of the guys be standing up, hugging like this? What's your interpretation here?
I'm speechless because I love Connor, first off. Second off, the big thing about these promos is you got to pay attention to the outfits. You know, we've been saying Katie's wearing this and this one's wearing this, but it really is a big detail on when these clips kind of took place because as we know, the creative editing takes a big role in these promos as well. So it's important to pay attention to outfits. So I also wanted to point out something really interesting to me is, again, all the guys are in their casual kind of hangout doing nothing clothes and Connor's in a suit. So I'm like, were they on a date? Maybe they did get a one-on-one date that didn't go well, which I'd be shocked because we love Connor. Like he's Connor the cat. He sings like he's the best. Or I don't know what else would have happened for him to be in a suit and then leave. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to be a shocker to us all. So I'm really curious because I can't even think about what would have even happened for this to cause him to leave.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. It definitely feels like for him to be the guy that we're totally, you know, they're letting us see, right, that it's him. So definitely very interesting. Of course, in this clip, we also did see Tasha, you know, sitting down with someone, seeming very serious right there of, you know, saying, what are you actually doing here? So who do you think she could be talking to? Could it be Blake? Could it be Matt? You know, if we do get this cameo from Matt James, why is he here, right? That would be a serious question for someone like Tasha to ask. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, my first thoughts went to Blake straight up because as we're going to dive into next, he ends up having a bit of doubt. So maybe this is Tasha being like, then why did you even show up in the first place? Like you came in gung ho about Katie and now you're saying that you kind of have doubts. So my first thought was Tasha. I don't think that she'd be saying this to Matt because again, I think Matt would be like a great source of like sound and advice, like the kind of the peacemaker. Because when said Matt showed up, Katie was wearing that pink hoodie in which again we'll see her kind of crying, that pink hoodie that she was making out with Blake in. So I think there's going to be a lot happening during that episode. And I don't know if Tasha would necessarily be angry toward Matt because she seems very angry in this clip. But again, it really could be any of the guys, you know, just Tasha kind of saying like, why are you here? Like, what are your reasons? Again, being here for the right reasons. That's the theme of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we know Tasha is going to be so protective over Katie. Her and Caitlyn are clearly taking that role of being a mentor, you know, being someone for Katie very, very seriously. So that clip is going to be interesting no matter what. Let's move on and watch the next one because we got a lot to talk about.
You're just tearing me apart. Who cares about the rose or who's getting sent home this week? If it's not real, it's not real.
I need to lift her up.
So, Gianna, I don't even know what to make of this clip because there's just a lot that's shocking. Seeing Greg this heated, this upset, saying, who cares? That's shocking. Obviously, we see Katie crying. And then that clearly very upsetting moment where she genuinely goes to get sick. I mean, I'm shocked that they even are including something like that. This seems just wild to me. I don't even know that I can draw a conclusion.
I'm with you. I definitely can't draw a conclusion. The only one I can draw for sure is that if they're going so far as to show her throwing up, you know it's going to be bad. There's nothing good that could have caused her to throw up, you know? Like, I mean, unless she drank too much, but that's like not even a possibility. So something horrible definitely had to have happened. And then to go back and look at Greg be angry. I mean, we've seen him as this sweet, like soft-spoken guy. Something clearly made him angry. And he said something along the lines of, you know, if it's not real, it's not real. So is he talking about him and Katie's relationship? Is he talking about, you know, someone else in the house kind of not having good intentions with Katie? Or is he talking about like Katie herself? Like maybe she's just not feeling it with anybody and that's what causes all this turmoil later on. Like there's so many possibilities and so many meanings that could be assumed to based on what Greg said. But just the throwing up here is just definitely not a good sign at all.
No, it's certainly not. And you're right. That is a side of Greg we haven't seen yet. So all of this is sort of getting to, again, the point where we're not going to see smooth sailing for Katie throughout the entire show for various reasons. In this next clip, we do see Michael A., who I think all of us have such a soft spot for. He's such a sweet guy, having some really serious doubts and missing his son. So that obviously is going to take a toll on him, a toll on Katie. Let's watch this next clip.
I would hate to see you end up with the wrong person.
My son's the thing I love most. I miss you like crazy, buddy.
Maybe Daddy don't want to see me.
So again, we're going to breeze right past that moment with James. It seems like he's telling Katie that, you know, somebody else isn't here for the right reasons. That could be 100,000 things. I want to focus on this Michael A. moment because they put it in subtitles there, his son saying, maybe daddy doesn't want to see me. I don't have kids, but oh my God, I have to imagine that hearing that from your child must absolutely shatter you. And again, if we go back, we see him in that gray jacket where in that moment where he looks like he's, you know, really pondering things, struggling to make a decision there. And it does look like, we called this out earlier, the outfit of the guy who we see knocking on Katie's door. So I'm starting to think things might be coming to an early end for Michael. I mean, what are your thoughts, Gianna?
This definitely is just telling me that he's definitely leaving, as sad as that is, because we all love Michael A. But I really don't blame him if he does leave because he's been through so much during the season. I want to say, like, mentally, he's probably been through the most out of everybody, including Katie herself. I mean, he's widowed. He opened up about that to Katie, and then, as we saw in last night's episode, to the men as well, because he never told anybody that before. He's from his son, and his son is at a really young age. And I don't have kids either, Fiona, but I have two little sisters. And I know when I was like in college, I would just be devastated after I FaceTime them. And it was like so hard for me to be away from them. And those were just my sisters. So I can't imagine being a parent in this position. And again, like you said, this is the jacket we see him knocking on Katie's door with. Who knows? Maybe they'll have a conversation. Maybe Katie will make him feel like so much better, so much more comfortable about staying, and he will stay, or she'll respect his decision and he will ultimately choose to leave. So again, we don't see like the end result, but it looks like just from these few seconds that he's gonna be leaving, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. Let's watch this next clip as well.
It just tore me apart. I can't focus on anything else.
So I think it's safe to assume that, you know, what tore him apart, of course, is that conversation with this kid. He's saying he can't focus on anything else. I mean, of course, like you said, we don't see the end result of all of this, but it certainly feels like they're painting a very clear picture here. And it's really interesting because I don't see how this ends in him not choosing to leave. So it almost, I mean, people are sort of saying like, wow, this trailer almost spoiled some things for us. Like, it feels like, I know Michael's leaving. I'm ready. I'm emotionally preparing for it. It just feels inevitable. What do you think?
It's, on one hand, I agree. I feel like, okay, we look at this, we got to be prepared. We know what's about to happen in a couple episodes down the line. But at the same time, I just don't trust these promos. I really don't, because the creative editing usually leads us in the wrong direction. So like, I mean, just because I love him so much, I'm like, fingers crossed they come out of this conversation ultimately being like, you know what, Michael, you should stay. Like, maybe they'll bring the sun on set somehow. Like, maybe something miraculous will happen that we do not see in the promo. But again, it's like, it's almost too obvious to be true. But if it is, I really am just going to be so sad. But these trailers just always have my head spinning, because I'm like, do I believe what's happening, what I see, or do I believe the complete opposite? And that's how I feel with this situation. I really just don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I love the idea of maybe the curveball here, because they're really leading us to believe that Michael's going to have to leave, is maybe the result of this conversation is he says, you know, I can't bear to be here just FaceTiming my son. Like, I have so many hours of downtime. Like, I need my kid here, or I can't stay. So that'll be really interesting. I love that idea, Gianna. I hope, fingers crossed, man. I hope that is what they do and we get to see Michael stick around. This next clip seemingly shows some of Blake's hometowns footage, which again would be a little bit of a spoiler. I think we all expected Blake to go pretty far, but this is Blake hometowns. I mean, there you go. He's one of the guys, it seems like. Let's watch this clip.
I'm not in love right now.
What if somebody else has already said it and she's said it back? What are you waiting?
So, and of course, we hear Blake saying he's not in love right now, which, you know, okay, it feels like typically guys tend to proclaim more positive sentiments than that while trying to win over the Bachelorette. So that feels like it's going to be an interesting conversation. So obviously, you know, we see someone there sitting with Blake, you know, encouraging him to get up the courage to share with Katie how he really feels. And as you can see, you guys, we did some research. That's Blake's sister. So if we needed any more confirmations, right, that this is hometowns, obviously this is Blake's sister coming to meet Katie, you know, to do the whole thing. And she's really encouraging him to get there, you know, saying point blank, what if somebody else gets there first? I mean, Gianna, what do you make of this? Because this is a pretty serious conversation.
Yeah, clearly this footage is from hometowns. Obviously, we have Blake's sister here, and she's straight up saying, you know, what if someone else says it to her first? I think by it means I love you, or something along the lines of I'm in love with you. You know, we heard that clip of him saying, I'm not in love right now. And I think that she's kind of basing it off of this issue that he's going to have of just not feeling it right now, or just not being ready to take that next step into real actual love that requires getting down on one knee. And you know, it's something, it really does say something when you got a sister saying that to you. You know, your family's usually like, yay, like good for you, I'm glad I met your significant other, but she's really having a sit down conversation with him. It looks like having a challenging conversation about that. So even she's pushing him there. So it's just a huge red flag to me that Blake is going to have some sort of issue in regards to moving forward with Katie, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think, you know, obviously he came into the process late. He comes in very sure of himself. I mean, we just watched their first date, and I mean, he is head over heels. We saw a few clips ago in this promo, him saying that nothing is, you know, gonna get in their way. Katie is it. To get here, it feels like he might be starting to panic a little bit. He might not be sure that he can get to where he knows he needs to be in the time allotted. And at the end of the day, I mean, this is what you sign on for. It would be very, very disappointing. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. But between, you know, the fact that we're seeing him sit down with his sister and the fact that they're having that conversation, I think it's definitely safe to say that Blake is going to be going very far. We're going to move on to this next clip, though, because we're going to see something that, of course, really shocks Katie. And this is a clip that we've seen before, but they keep playing it. It feels like this is going to be one of those ones that haunts us until the moment actually arrives. Let's watch this.
Do this.
I am done. I am done. Someone booked my flight home. Like, how am I supposed to move forward?
So we have seen her saying before to book her flight home, right? And of course, we've all known that that means at some point something very dramatic is coming this season. She's going to get quite a shock. She's going to get some horrible news. She's going to be let down. I mean, fill in the blank, something bad is coming. But now we also get that other clip, which of course, you know, she is wearing something different. We have no way of knowing for sure if it's going to be connected to this moment. But in that moment, she's saying, you know, something along the lines of she doesn't know how to move forward. So again, it's just kind of reinforcing that something is coming that's going to truly jeopardize her ability to go forward as the Bachelorette, which I have to say is really stressful. It's really bumming me out. I mean, what do you make of this?
I mean, when I first saw this clip, my initial thought was this why her season ended early? Is this the moment that she truly does end it? Does she just say, I give up, like I just don't want anything to do with this anymore, and that's how the season ends? But again, it's this crazy thought of, you know, is it too obvious for them to show this and that have that be the end, or did somebody just kind of screw her over in a way? Because, you know, we have a hint that some guys are leaving and we see her crying. I don't think that if a guy left, she would be like, I'm done, I'm going home. I think that someone had to have really hurt her deep down inside for her to say those words and kind of run off, you know? So it's horrible that something like that is going to happen to her. But again, like, I just am so curious to see how it plays out in what sort of context throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, the only suspicion I have is, of course, we've seen, you know, we're 5 weeks in and it feels like every week there have been this super intense energy about people being there for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. And Katie has set such a hard line, and really with sending Thomas home, I think it sent a very strong message to the men about how she's going to feel about you if you are not there solely for the right reasons. So the only thing that I can think is perhaps these are moments from way later on in the season and somehow somebody is exposed, you know, as not being there for the right reasons. And so it sort of shatters her confidence, you know, in the system, in the whole process. She's given so much time and her heart to someone who, if at the end she finds out, you know, has ulterior motives, maybe that's it. Maybe that's going to be what crushes it. Who knows? It's just so sad to see her like this. I'm not looking forward to these moments. In this next clip, you mentioned it, we're getting all these teases of potential early exits, and it looks like they're showing us another one here, so let's watch that.
All I'm I'm looking for is to find my person. And it's very possible that my person just left. And I just don't know what to believe in anymore.
So this is really interesting, Gianna, because of course we're seeing her and Mike together. We see her crying in the outfit she's wearing, and then it cuts to this shot of Mike walking away. Now, this is interesting because usually if the Bachelorette is sending someone home early, it's much more of a, she walks them out as opposed to they walk away. So that's sort of something to note. Of course, we're seeing her definitely crying here with Mike, but that audio about somebody leaving could be about anything. So I don't know. This is a really unique clip to me because I feel like we're seeing a lot, but I don't know what to make of it. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I think the audio is definitely for something else, but we do know that something happened on their date because they were wearing those outfits way back in the beginning. And that first clip when we said, okay, Mike and her went on a 1-on-1, this was the outfit. And she's crying here, she's wiping her tears, and he walked away. So they must have had a really difficult conversation, as you said, Fiona, for her to not be like, I think you should leave, let me walk you out. I think she did a, leave, get out, like get away type of situation. And that's shocking to me too, because I saw him as such a sweet guy as well in the beginning, but people end up changing. And then that clip of her crying afterward, she is in another outfit. So many clips of Katie crying. I do not like to see any of it at all.
I know, because so far, of course, there have been bumps in the road, but overall, it feels like she's made really positive steps in each episode's balance. Perhaps maybe not the Thomas episode, but it has been more positive than negative. And with all of these clips we're getting, it feels like we're in for some heavier weeks later down the line. In this next clip, it looks like we're going to be seeing Katie truly at, a breaking point. Let's watch this clip.
I feel like I'm at a breaking point.
I'm so confused.
Andrew, I'm losing you. I'm losing my mind here.
Can I leave?
So Gianna, again, this is another one of those clips that are really jam-packed. Of course, we see a brief moment of what looks like, Trey crying, maybe multiple guys crying. So that's going to be a lot. Then we see this moment with her and Caitlyn and Tasha where it looks like even Caitlyn is tearing up as Katie tells them that she's kind of reached her breaking point. And then, we get another one of these moments with Greg where it's a totally new side of him. He looks really angry once again, and he's saying, can I leave? Let's just start with that because we saw a lot, but let's just start with those things because, oh my goodness, there's so much to unpack. What do you make of this?
If you don't know already, I love Greg. Like literally, he's my favorite. I just want to date him myself if they don't end up together. But in last night's episode, Greg did mention that he was a very jealous guy. And he did tell Katie, I have a really hard time on group dates. Like I physically can't stand seeing you with other men, basically is what he was saying, which is, rightfully so. It's understandable. But I think his jealousy is actually going to get the best of him. And that's what we're seeing in these clips. That's what I am speculating from all of this. Because, we don't see this side of him at all. And I also wanted to point out when he said, I need a minute when he was outside kind of walking away. That was also the same area in which Katie said, somebody booked my flight home. I want to go home, which was, it's making me think that maybe they sort of got into an argument and this is kind of what spurred him walking and her walking. That would absolutely break my heart. I really hope they don't end on bad terms, but I think it is going to be a conversation of his jealousy in a way.
Yeah, I could definitely see that because you're right. He basically told all of us that it's already difficult for him at this stage of the game. And we all know that, you see a lot of bromances, the guys team up and they weed out the guys that aren't here for the right reasons. But further and further as we get into the weeks, it much more becomes like each man's connection with Katie has developed to a point where it's a little harder, right, to root for anybody else but yourself. So I'm definitely with you there. That could be total foreshadowing. We also saw in this clip, that moment where she chases after Andrew, which we have seen before, and we're going to hear again that audio where she says, to somebody, of course, they're kind of leading us to think it's Andrew, but again, could be anybody. I'm losing you, I'm losing my mind. So obviously somebody's exit is going to really take a toll on her. I don't see Andrew us leaving, but anything is on the table right now. Gianna, what do you make of that audio? What do you make of that clip of her running after him? What do you think?
I don't think the audio is directed toward Andrew whatsoever. I think that this is like the one happy clip that we have in this promo. I think her running toward Andrew was like a happy run. Maybe he was thinking about leaving and then he decided not to, and that's why she's giving him this huge hug. But again, I think that audio is toward Greg. I'm going to call it right now, because also in last night's episode, they did have a conversation in which Katie said, my biggest fear is that you leave. And he said, I would never leave. And she said, promise. And he said, promise. So I'm like, why was that the one like bit of conversation that they did include in last night's episode? So maybe he is the one that he's going to break his promise and he's going to leave. I just have a strong feeling that that clip is about Greg, unfortunately, not Andrew. Andrew's all love.
You know what? I definitely think you could be onto something. I am dying to get these mysteries solved. We're going to have to be patient. It's like they throw this much at us and then we just are stuck in the waiting game to find out what the heck is actually going on. Let's move on to this next clip, because it looks like a friend of Katie's, or, someone in Katie's life may be worried about her top choice.
Moment.
Are you serious?
I feel like I'm going through the motions.
I honestly don't know if she'll recover if he doesn't propose.
Gianna, let's start with the moment we see from somebody in Katie's life at the end and kind of work our way backwards, because of course there was a lot in that clip, but I really do think there's a lot to potentially be read into with someone in Katie's life saying she doesn't think she'll recover if they don't propose. I mean, could they be talking about her top choice? Could they be worried that, maybe we see Blake having doubts that he won't actually be able to get down on a knee at the end and he's the front? I mean, what do you think? What do you make of this? It feels like a pretty big red flag.
Fiona, this is clearly hometowns footage. I mean, this is somebody in Katie's life that she obviously had to have a conversation with. And for this person to go ahead and say, if he, whoever he is, doesn't propose, then she's going to be, broken, devastated. It seems like Katie did have a conversation with her friends and family, not only talking about the men that she is interested in, but the one person that she's really hoping proposes and gets down on one knee. Because why else would someone from her life say that about one specific person? So I think at the end of the day, again, Katie's known what she wanted this whole season. When it comes to just a couple men left, I feel as though this is a huge indicator that Katie's just going to have her eye on one man right off the bat. So, and they're clearly talking about, if that one person isn't who she ends up with, then Katie's just going to be devastated. So I think it's going to be a really interesting ending to the season right off the bat. I think we can get that much just from this one little clip.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it certainly is a little concerning. And of course, we're all going to be dying to know who they are discussing. But I don't think we're going to get to know that for quite some time. Let's look at some of the other moments we saw in this clip, because we see her crying in that same outfit she wore while making out with Blake early on. We see her right there crying. And of course, remember we mentioned we see Connor hugging multiple guys, wearing that blue suit that we see him in again here, saying, that it's just really hard or that it's just really difficult. And we also see him wearing it while sitting down, having a conversation with Katie in that same outfit that she's crying in right here. So Connor, the cat, seemed like a pretty sure thing. He's had a pretty happy journey so far. What do you make of this?
It's so hard because you know what else we've seen in the past seasons is the lead could really have a strong connection with somebody, but it's not the strongest of all of the connections that she has. So I feel like this might be one of those situations in which Katie has a sit down conversation with him that's clearly not easy because she's also crying, saying, I do like you a lot, but there's other men that I can just see a future with, and maybe it's not quite you type of thing. So I don't think Connor did anything. I don't think they necessarily got in an argument. I feel like, again, speculation that this is one of those moments where she just is kind of ruling the men out rather quickly since it is getting toward the end. And again, it's just so funny that this is the outfit that she was kissing Blake in. It's the outfit she's crying with Connor, and it's the outfit that she's allegedly talking to Matt James in. Like this episode, I'm telling you, is going to be absolutely crazy. But this is another huge indicator that Connor is definitely going home.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, we knew that there were going to be multiple men who sort of leave when it's not a rose ceremony. And I feel like between the hugging and between this, it almost feels like Connor might be someone who could be on that list. So again, kind of a bummer, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. This next clip, we're gonna talk about Blake again, because it seems like he's going to go from being so sure of himself in the early days to struggling later on, where it almost looks like we're going to be seeing Tasha confronting him. So let's watch this clip.
I'm in a nightmare.
I'm like shaking. I don't even know what to say. I have no words for you right now.
If you're not ready for this, I feel like you just need to say goodbye.
So again, a lot to talk about. Let's start with Blake and kind of work our way backwards. So Tasha seems to be saying to him, if you're ready for this, you just need to say goodbye, which kind of leads me to, is Blake going to pull a Brendan on us, right? Really make it to the end and then basically figure out that as much as he thinks he's ready to get down on one knee, he's not. Because based on what we hear Tasha saying here, seems like maybe marriage is going to end up being sort of a hard hurdle for Blake to overcome. What are your thoughts, Gianna?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's one thing to be with somebody, Blake obviously came in very adamant about pursuing Katie, but we haven't really heard him say, like, I want her to be my wife. He just said he wants to be with Katie. He thinks he belongs with Katie. But at the end of the day, he's basing it off of what he's kind of seen of her on a television show that he's watched in the past, like they never had a prior connection. And I think the way that his shift, his mood kind of shifted, it's clear that he's kind of having these doubts and they're going to come to fruition, especially all the points that you would mention, Katie's, whoever saying if he doesn't propose. I feel like that is Blake. I mean, we're seeing so much of him. We're seeing him crying, him looking very doubtful in the situation. I mean, Tasha, for her to talk to him and have that conversation and be like, if you're not ready, you gotta go. That's huge. And I don't think it was editing manipulation because that clip was way too obvious. They're both outside in the same area. So I think we are going to be disappointed by Blake. I hate to say it, but I think it's going to happen. Too good to be true.
I know, and I'm so sad saying all of this because we just talked about, in another video, how well he did on their first one-on-one date. So it feels like there's going to be a steep decline at some point, which is definitely going to be disappointing. Very briefly, at the beginning of this clip, we saw Hunter say he feels like he's living in a nightmare. And I do think that that may be something we're going to be seeing, maybe next week, because as we discussed, again, in another video, it seems like Hunter is maybe being teed up to be our next villain. So I do anticipate some challenges for him. And we, of course, that sweater, that hoodie that Katie is wearing, it seems like that's going to be quite the episode because we see her once again breaking down in that jacket here in this clip. We hear her in that little one-on-one sit down wearing that jacket saying she doesn't even know what to say. So again, based on everything we've seen with Michael, I feel like we can interpret this moment as maybe the shock of him potentially sending himself home. I mean, only time will tell, I guess. Let's head into this next clip because if you can believe it, there's even more Gianna that they're throwing at us in this promo.
I'm truly here just to fall in love. And if I walk away without that, then
So interesting, at the very top of this clip, it looks like we're seeing maybe another one of those creative dates where they make them take wedding pictures or, I don't know what. Initially, this kind of looks like it could be a final rose moment, but she is wearing a veil if you look closely. And I do just feel like that would be a bit extreme to show up to the final rose, basically in a wedding gown and a veil. But what are your thoughts? What do you think of this moment?
I agree with you 100%. I think that this is one of those fake wedding photo shoots. We've seen it done multiple times in the past, so I would not be surprised if this were another one of those times. This is way too obvious because we can really kind of even see who this person is. They would never give away a final rose moment like this. I know they've given away teasers in this specific promo about hometowns and such, but they would never, ever, ever do that. So I think this is just a date situation in which they're taking wedding photos. And like you said, Fiona, Katie would not show up in a wedding dress and a veil to the final rose. If she did, I would be just so shocked, but that's just not happening. That's not this moment. No.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That would be, I just think, too weird, too bold, too insane across the board, editing wise, outfit wise, all the things. So Gianna, in this clip, aside from, of course, that wedding dress date, which I agree with you, it would just be way too weird across the board for that to be anything other than a date. We see happier times here with her and Greg. Again, we see her kissing Andrew. It looks like she may be hugging Mike. It seems like these are from some of the more positive dates, some of the more positive days before things take a turn, because again, we're going to see at the very end of this clip, the briefest of moments. It's basically just a flash, but I don't believe we've seen Katie in this outfit yet. And again, she's crying. So I feel so sad that she's going to have so many difficult ups and downs as her season nears the end. I feel like that's just kind of what we can take away from this promo overall, is that there's going to be a lot of heartache.
Yeah, Fiona, I think we're going to be in for a wild ride the next few weeks. And she is saying the voiceover over that clip, she's truly only there to find love. And if she doesn't find it, and then we get this clip of the tears. So I think that's why they're kind of showing those happier moments, because she's, talking about finding love. But this is just making me think that she is going to get heartbroken somehow, some way, which I do not want the season to end like that at all. I am rooting for Katie. I know we all are rooting for Katie here. So if it does go the opposite way, I'm going to be heartbroken for her. But all of these like crying clips and all the different outfits, like how many times have we seen her cry in the last minute of this little promo? I mean, minute 30 seconds, she's cried like a dozen times, which absolutely breaks my heart. But I think that this is indicating that something is definitely going to go wrong, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. We've got one final clip, so let's roll it.
It was all for nothing.
The drama continues.
So, of course, we heard her say the first part of that, which is she's just here for, to find love. And if it doesn't happen, the end of that sentence is, it was all for nothing. I mean, that is quite the gown. The setting, that didn't look like a final rose setting to me. That maybe looked like a cocktail party, but nonetheless, I almost hope that they are showing us all of these bad times to lead us down a doubtful path so they can surprise us when she ends up engaged at the end. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to try to spin this because I really do. I'm with you. I want her journey to end with an engagement, with everything she's looking for. But it's going to be a difficult road to navigate to get there, at least based on what we've seen so far.
Oh, 100%. And it's just crazy that all of these moments are going to happen. Like, we still need to get through several more weeks and all of this is going to go down. Like, I mean, I'm not ready. And I agree with you, Fiona. I hope that because at the end of this promo, I got the tone of, this is going to be a bad season. It's going to end badly. Everyone's crying. So many bad things are happening. So I just hope that they're trying to make us think that that's the case, when in reality, it's not. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see, as, famous phrase, as the drama continues this season.
All right, you guys, that was quite the promo. With all of that being said, we of course want to know what your thoughts were while watching this. Do you think Katie is going to walk away from this engaged, or are you starting to have some doubts, some concerns? Let us know in the comments, and if you guys picked up on any other clues, of course, share those with us down in the comments below as well. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure you do. Make sure you ring the bell because we will keep you updated on all things Katie. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the wonderful Gianna Gravelisi. If you want to come say hi, check out our socials. They are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.